What is up, fight fans? This is DJC Combat, and this weekend goes down UFC 313, headlined by Alex Poatan Pereira versus Magomed Ankalaev. This matchup has been a long time coming, but that's not all. We got a bunch of other banger fights on this main card. I cannot wait for UFC 313. We also got Justin Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev 2. It's not the Dan Hooker fight that we all wanted. I was preparing to break down and predict that fight. Instead, we got the Fiziev rematch, but it is what it is. At least the human highlight reel Justin Gaethje is still on this card, so I can't complain. And then we got another banger in the lightweight division, Jalin Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Gonna be fireworks. Amanda Lemos versus Iasmin Lucindo, probably the least interesting fight on this main card. But then we got King Green versus Mauricio, Ruffy. I'm going to cover all these fights on the main card, and I'm going to start with the main card opener. I'm going to start with King Green versus Mauricio, Ruffy. Two really good strikers in the lightweight division. You got the boxing heavy style of Bobby Green. He has a lot of awkward movements. He'll roll with punches a lot. He'll fight with his hands down, but he's very good at slipping shots and he'll taunt you. Green has a style where he's good at frustrating his opponents, getting in their heads. But I feel like Mauricio Ruffy, he does that as well, but he does that better than Bobby Green, along with overall better, more diverse striking. Funny enough, statistically, Green has better striking defense, but Ruffy is hard to hit clean. He's very good at slipping shots, countering shots, rolling with punches. His kicks are better, and his striking is overall more creative. And he's got the youth advantage as well. That's something you also got to take into account. He's 10 years younger than Bobby Green. And even though Bobby Green, or King Green, shall I say, because that's what he changed his legal name to, even though he's a very solid veteran, I just think it's going to be Mauricio Ruffy's time, and it's hard not to pick him to win this fight. How I think this fight's going to go, I think it's going to be a lot of King Green walking down Mauricio Ruffy with his hands down, taunting, and Mauricio Ruffy is just going to outstrike him. He's going to be doing more, and Green's just going to get frustrated. He's going to miss a lot of his shots. His offense won't be effective, and Ruffy is just going to dance around him for 3 rounds and win a decision, piecing up Green, or he might just get King Green out of there as well, because King Green is a bit chinny. If you can get to him, if you can hit him clean, you can get to him, you can knock him out. Dober got him out of there, Turner got him out of there, and I think Ruffy has enough power to put King Green away. So whether it be a decision or knockout, I just think his striking is going to be a lot better. And plus, Ruffy, he's part of that wave of fighting nerds, and these fighting nerds, man, they're on a roll right now. Carlos Prates, Gene Lord Silva, Kyle Barajo, and I think Mauricio Ruffy, he's going to carry on that momentum headed into this weekend. But I can't wait. Maybe Green will surprise people, but I doubt it. Now, moving on to the strawweight bout between Amanda Lemos and Iasmin Lucindo. I got Iasmin Lucindo beating Amanda Lemos, even though I'm sure a lot of people are going to be picking Lemos in this fight, and maybe on paper she should win. The thing is with Lemos, she's just old, man. She's old. Lucindo's got the youth. She's got the momentum. She's 23. She's constantly improving. Whereas Lemos is kind of declining a little bit. She's kind of stagnant. She's still very dangerous. She's got that power. She can always knock you out. She can always submit you. But I think Lucindo is going to be patient enough on the feet. I think she'll avoid those big, wild exchanges with Lemos. And I think she might exploit Lemos' weakness in her takedown defense with her strong offensive grappling. We saw Iasmin Lucindo beat Marina Rodriguez in that fashion, just being able to out-grapple her alone and win by decision. That's how Zhang Weili was able to beat her. And even though Dern lost that fight based off damage, Dern was able to get a lot of takedowns and a lot of control time on Amanda Lemos. Vernajani Robo was able to out-grapple and submit Amanda Lemos. So I think Lucindo can do something similar. I just think that Lemos has sort of ran her course as like a top fighter in this division. She's been there and done that, and I know she's got the experience as being a former title challenger and fighting a bunch of elite, top contenders at strawweight. I just feel like, again, she's had her time. And I think that Lucindo might be the new star moving forward in the strawweight division. And I'm going to say she wins this fight by decision. Probably uneventful. It might be boring because she's not going to want to get in a brawl. And she's going to grapple a lot, which might make it a boring fight. But if she's going to win, that's how she's going to win the fight, is by grappling and not brawling. But we'll see. Maybe Lemos might be able to knock her out, which would be entertaining. Or maybe Lucindo herself could find a finish. I hope this fight's not going to stink up the main card. Honestly, this fight should have been on the prelims, but whatever, can't complain. Now moving on to the feature fight in the lightweight division, Jalin Turner versus Ignacio Bahamondes. Straight up heat in this fight. This fight is going to be an all-out war. Two big boys in the lightweight division, both men standing at 6 feet 3 inches tall. Jalin Turner has a slight reach advantage at 2 inches, 77 to Ignacio, 75. Ignacio is a very good striker, but Turner on the feet, he's not bad himself, and I think Jalin has a power advantage, and he's very dangerous and explosive in that early going of the fight. I feel like his best rounds are rounds 1 and 2, and it is a 3-round fight as well. I think that Bahamondes might have an advantage with his grit and his cardio, and Turner does kind of slow down, as the rounds go on. He can fade, and he can kind of fold too. Like, if he hurts you, but then you're able to tough it out and then keep that pressure on him, you can break Jalin Turner. Moicano showed that in his last fight. Dan Hooker showed that. But I don't know if Bahamondes is on the level of a Dan Hooker or even a Renato Moicano. He does have the power to knock out Jalin Turner. And he does have the grit to maybe last in the fight. But again, it's a 3-rounder. And Jalin Turner could easily win this fight by winning the first 2 rounds, landing the bigger, better shots, and he could survive round 3. But I don't think this fight's going to go the distance anyway. I think someone's going to get finished, but ultimately, I'm going to say that Turner wins this fight. I think Turner's long, powerful left hand is going to get there before Ignacio Bahamondes' right hand. I mean, whoever lands first will be more likely to get the finish, but I'm going to roll a dice and predict that it's going to be Jalin Turner. He always lands something big and devastating in those early rounds. He was able to drop Moicano early and could have finished him if he didn't attempt a cool walk-off KO. And he rocked Dan Hooker in the first round, was able to finish Bobby Green in the first round. And I think in round 1 or 2, he might be able to overwhelm Bahamondes and get a finish. But I would not be surprised if Ignacio Bahamondes was able to get the finish against Jalin Turner. He could outstrike him, he could outlast him, and he could melt him. But either way, I predict this fight is going to be a fight of the night candidate, and I cannot wait to find out what happens. Now, into the co-main event, another lightweight bout. Wow, 3 lightweight fights, crazy lightweight fights on this main card. Just in the highlight, Gaethje versus Rafael Fiziev, part 2, a rematch of their first fight from 2023, which was an amazing fight, all-out war, absolute banger. Gaethje pulled away with a decision against Rafael Fiziev, but in rewatching that fight last night, Rafael did way better than what people remember, what people give him credit for, way better than what I remembered. And honestly, that fight was actually very close. And Fiziev had a lot of success. A lot of success in that fight, especially in the early rounds. But I think what hurt him in that fight against Gaethje was his cardio failed him. He was fast and explosive early. He was able to outstrike Gaethje early, but Gaethje was able to stay tough out the shots of Fiziev, last within the fight, and then once Fiziev slowed down, he became a sitting duck, and then he started playing into Gaethje's game, which was that brawling game, and that's a dangerous game to play against Justin Gaethje, and because he slowed down and started brawling, the fight started to swing. The momentum started to shift in Gaethje's favor, and then the damage really started to settle in round 3, where he bloodied and battered Fiziev's face. But some minor adjustments could be made in Fiziev's favor. He does have the potential to beat Gaethje. I do think on paper his striking is better, and he's got a speed advantage. But in that first fight, and I think in general, Fiziev kind of throws a lot of power in his punches. Like, he'll throw 100% into every shot, which could be taxing. I mean, that kind of got him tired against Green. He was trying to take Green's head off, and he slowed down in that fight. And he has these fast, explosive movements, which also can, be energy expending. So I feel like if he can just pace himself and maybe throw like 50% into his shots, he might be able to maintain his stamina. And if he does, he could outstrike Justin Gaethje for 3 rounds. But the problem I have with Fiziev going into this fight is he's not fought in 2 years. He's coming off an injury against Mateusz Gamrot, and it's a short notice fight. He does not have a full camp, so I don't believe Rafael will have had enough time to make the adjustments needed to beat Gaethje. He has an uphill battle to climb to win this fight, and there's a lot of things he needs to do differently if he wants to get this win. Whereas Gaethje, he already beat Fiziev. He knows what he has to do to win this fight now with the experience of beating him before. I think he's going to have confidence going in now, knowing that he's already beaten Rafael Fiziev. He's got the benefit of having a full camp as well. And he's just been more active since that first fight. Maybe if Rafael didn't get injured against Gamrot, beat him, and then put together this impressive win streak, I might actually favor Fiziev to win this fight. But I haven't had a chance. We all haven't had a chance to see anything from Fiziev to show us if he's made any major improvements since that first fight. So I got to go with Gaethje. I think he's going to come back refreshed from that Max Holloway KO. I think his chin is going to be fine. And I don't think Fiziev is on the level of a Max Holloway. And Gaethje has not lost 2 in a row since 2018. And I don't know if he's going to lose 2 in a row now. And his career cycle might just repeat in terms of winning 1 after losing and then getting a title shot. That's how most of his UFC career has been thus far. So he might just beat Fiziev and then get a shot at Islam. But I would hope that coming off a win over Fiziev, they'll reschedule the Hooker fight. But now, moving on to the main event of the evening. Magomed Ankalaev versus Alex Pereira. Man, I cannot wait for this fight. This is a fight that I've wanted to see for such a long time. This title shot is a long time coming. The second title shot is a long time coming for Magomed Ankalaev. The last time he fought for the belt, he could have won, but a few mistakes were made that costed him, which is why he walked away with a draw. But now he gets a second chance, but he's facing an even more dangerous opposition than Jan Blachowicz. He's fighting Alex Pereira, who's a way more dangerous striker than Jan Blachowicz. A lot more power than Jan. His leg kicks are better than Jan, and we saw Jan was able to hurt Magomed early with leg kicks, almost finished him with leg kicks. Overall, I think Alex Pereira is way too dangerous on the feet for someone like Magomed Ankalaev. But Magomed Ankalaev is the more well-rounded fighter. He does have that wrestling in his back pocket. He doesn't rely on it heavily in his fights, but in this fight, if he wants to win, he's going to need to, because on the feet, I know his striking is good. I know he does actually have very good boxing. And he actually has better defense than Pereira, believe it or not. He's got good distance management. He's very patient. Alex Pereira just has way too much experience on the feet, from his kickboxing background, and just he's too lethal. And Magomed does make a lot of mistakes on the feet, which he is able to get away with those mistakes because other guys he's fought or stood in front of were not Alex Pereira, but someone like Pereira will be able to capitalize on those mistakes. Magomed Ankalaev loops his punches a lot. He's very wild on the feet, and Alex Pereira is a lot more cleaner and tighter on the feet with his boxing, and he could catch Ankalaev overextending. Now, Ankalaev does have a very precise and fast left cross from the southpaw stance, and his left cross is dangerous. There's a lot of power behind that left hand, but Alex Pereira has a lot of power behind that left hook. And the last time Alex Pereira was faced with a southpaw striker with a powerful left cross, we saw Pereira was able to beat that left straight with his left hook. And in this fight, I don't think it'll be any different if this is a striking match. Now, Ankalaev does have the tools to get it done. Like I said, he has the wrestling to win this fight. And actually, for years, I've always said that Ankalaev would beat Pereira. I've always thought Ank would win this fight. Before Pereira even had his first light heavyweight fight, I always had Ankalaev winning this just because of his wrestling game. But so much has changed since then. Pereira has really grown into himself in this division, and he's improved a lot. I do believe he's going to be a lot better than he was in the Blachowicz fight, where he was struggling with the wrestling. I do think in this fight, his takedown defense might actually surprise people. Now, Ankalaev will eventually get him down. If he doesn't half-ass his takedowns and he keeps persisting and keeps chaining together his takedowns, he'll eventually get Pereira down. But I worry that he's going to struggle with the initial shot. He'll just let it go, and he'll just decide, fuck it, I'm going to strike with Alex Pereira. And if he does that, he's getting knocked out. But even if he does wrestle Alex Pereira, another issue is he doesn't have the greatest finishing ability on the ground, whether it be ground and pound or submissions. He doesn't have any submissions. When he had Jan Blachowicz on the ground, he should have been able to finish him. He should have been able to finish him with ground and pound, and he didn't. And he didn't have the jiu-jitsu to be able to capitalize on Blachowicz being turtled up and take that neck and choke him out. So I don't know if he finishes Pereira on the ground. I don't think he subs him. And I doubt that he'll be able to ground and pound finish him either. Pereira is very good at surviving on the ground, and Magomed's finishing ability mainly lies on the feet. A lot of his finishes are knockout standing, but I don't even think he's going to knock out Pereira on the feet either. I know he's got a lot of power, but Alex is very good at seeing shots coming, rolling with punches, and he's got a very good chin for the 205 division. So it feels unlikely that Magomed will be able to finish Pereira even if he does wrestle. Magomed has to be perfect for 5 rounds. He can't chance it in the stand-up. But again, I don't know if he can finish Pereira. And the thing is about Alex Pereira is he builds into fights, and he gets more dangerous as the rounds go on. And if Ankalaev doesn't finish him on the ground early, Alex Pereira, being able to last throughout the fight, he might be able to mount a late rounds comeback. And another thing that worries me in this fight for Ankalaev is this fight's taking place during Ramadan. Magomed Ankalaev is going in this fight food deprived, a lot of fasting, so I worry that might weaken him. It also might affect his cardio. He might not be as strong or as powerful. as he needs to be. And Mark Goddard's the referee, which I don't like. Goddard has a bad habit of stopping title fights early, especially if it's Alex Pereira. He will definitely stop it the moment he hurts his opponent. So I'm going to pick Alex Pereira to win this fight. I do think that Ankalaev will try to test out the striking a little bit, but eventually he is going to go to the wrestling, and he will be successful with it. But I do think that Poatan will last throughout the fight. Ankalaev won't be able to finish him. And then I just feel like in those late rounds, Alex Pereira is going to lock in when he needs to, knowing that he might need a finish. And I feel like he's going to be too dangerous and determined to let Magomed ride him out to a boring and safe decision. Against Pereira, you gotta be perfect for 5 rounds, and 5 rounds is just too much time for Alex Pereira to eventually land something, to snipe you and find the finishing blow. So I predict that Ankalaev is probably going to be winning this fight with his wrestling. I think round 1 is going to be kind of close. It will be a feeling out process on the feet, but I think Alex is going to slightly outstrike him. But then rounds 2 and 3, Ankalaev is going to clearly win with his wrestling. But then round 4, I think Alex Pereira is going to start coming on strong. Ank might slow down. He might get complacent. He might get a little bit overconfident. And then I think that Alex Pereira is going to catch Magomed Ankalaev. And I don't think Ank's like going to go straight on his back when he gets hurt. I think it might be a situation where he drops to a knee and then he tries to wrestle his way to recovery. But Alex Pereira is going to sprawl. And then here's what I think is going to happen. I think Alex Pereira is going to land hammer fist or elbows from the sprawling position. And then Magomed is just going to be sitting on his knees, holding on to Pereira's legs. And then I think Goddard's going to step in, and it might be a controversial stoppage. It might be. It might be a stoppage that's going to be up for debate, because some people might say, well, Magomed was just sitting there doing nothing, getting hit, eating unanswered shots. Other people might argue, but Magomed was wrestling his way to recovery, and you should have given him a chance. But when Alex Pereira hurts you, it's very dangerous to shoot on him, because when he hurt Yuri Prohaska, he started landing elbows when Yuri started wrestling. When Yuri grabbed onto those legs, Alex started landing vicious elbows, which was able to get him the finish. And I think a similar stoppage might happen in this fight with Magomed Ankalaev. But we'll see what happens. If anyone in this division is beating Alex Pereira, it is Magomed Ankalaev. He could wrestle Alex Pereira to a decision. It is very possible. But again, Pereira is just too dangerous over 5 rounds. He does have good cardio. And he just gets better as the fights goes on. And Pereira also just has plot armor too. And it just doesn't help that he's got Mark Goddard on his side. And this fight's happening during Ramadan, where Ankalaev might not be at his best self. He might not be in the form that he needs to be. So if Ankalaev purely strikes, he gets knocked out early. If he wrestles, I think he'll just prolong the inevitable, and Alex will just finish him late anyway. And it'll just be another title defense for Alex Pereira, and he'll further cement his legacy as one of the greatest fighters of all time, being able to get someone like Magomed Ankalaev on his resume and proving that he can beat a wrestler as a kickboxer in MMA. And that's what makes this fight super interesting. But we'll see what happens. With that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Who do you guys got winning all these fights? Does Alex Pereira keep the belt, or is Ankalaev, is he the chosen one to get the job done? Like and subscribe, and peace out.